The air that morning in Coyote Pass was heavy and stagnant, as if the desert itself had caught its breath. A storm had moved through the night, saturating the earth in red clay and ozone odor. But in Robyn's home, the storm was not what made her uneasy. It was the bank statement. As she gazed at the monitor, her heart fell. 3733 pages was all that was left, and no deposits were arriving. The family's account was empty. Since Kody's most recent podcast tantrum, 2 straight hours of babbling about masculine energy and deriding his own kids for being too soft to accommodate polygamy, things had gone downhill. TLC sponsorships had ceased months earlier. Brand partnerships disappeared, and even the cameo requests had all but dried up. They were broke, and worse, infamous. Internet hate had become threats. Following a fan community speculation that Dayton was attempting to flee, someone had doxed him. Aurora had uninstalled all the social networking apps. Brianna would not get out of her room. Even Ariella began wondering why people from church would hiss that her dad was on drugs. Hi all, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. Robyn muttered the familiar intro because she was in the habit of doing so, phone tucked into the hollow of her palm as she sat at the kitchen island. Outside, Kody's bellowing pierced the calm. He was bellowing at the groundskeeper once more, about positioning and root damage, jargon he had acquired during his most recent bender of YouTube therapy videos. His tone had become acrid, biting, like vinegar coursed through his system. He strode the yard like a crazy prophet, hairy, bare beneath Arizona's sun. Robyn closed her eyes. She remembered how his rage had once tasted like conviction. When he'd stand in the living room, arms spread wide, exhorting eternal families, heavenly unions, and unity. At the time, he was like a visionary. Nowadays, he simply sounded lost. And all of it, she had helped make possible. Then she turned. The door swung open, and there stood Dayton. Taller now, bearded, with the reserved look of a man who had grown older, more from endurance than time. His eyes were firm, realistic, not cruel. "Mom," he said, "I need to speak with you." She stiffened. "This is about the letter?" "No," he answered. "It's about everything." He drew out a chair and lowered himself slowly, each movement deliberate, as if maintaining his calm were an effort. Robyn's heartbeat accelerated. "I'm going to live with Dad," he said. Her hands shook. "You're not involved with him like that?" "I am now," Dayton replied coolly. "He offered to provide. Said if I complained, he'd pay for college." Robyn's jaw opened, shocked. "He's manipulating you." "He's telling the truth," Dayton snapped. "He produced bank statements. You said there were none." Robyn blinked. "What?" "You said it all went to the family, that they took every penny, but he produced deposits, to my LLC. More than 100,000, just the last 3 years." She stuttered. "It was for the business." "The jewelry?" Dayton's tone was laced with bitterness. "Nobody's purchased that crap since 2021. The company is kaput." But the cash still rolled in. Her face heated. She'd concealed it, told herself it was for emergencies. Honestly, she'd panicked. She grew up without anything. Money equaled security. "You lied to me," Dayton spoke softly. "Even when I didn't want the adoption, you let him proceed with it. I was 15. You referred to it as love, but it was control." Robyn's mouth opened to reply, then clamped shut. "I'm filing forms," he announced. "I want the adoption undone, and I'm going to the media with or without your permission." She tried to touch him. "Dayton, please." He stood. "Don't touch me," he told her. "Not until you understand what truth really is." She opened her mouth to answer him, but he turned and walked away. The Arizona sun beat down as Robyn emerged onto the porch, her cotton dress sticking to her legs. Dayton sat on the swing, quiet and motionless, while Kody strode the yard with arms folded. "You'll do it because I told you to," Kody snapped. "We are family. You're my son." Dayton whispered, "I'm not your son." Robyn stepped forward. "Please, Dayton, honey, he does love you. He just doesn't know how to show it." "Kody world," Dayton muttered. "Excuse me." But Robyn was already on her knees next to Dayton, mumbling in gritted teeth, "Your time, my love. A true father." Dayton's gaze was vacant as he gazed at her, and finally nodded weakly. The internet went wild. Reddit threads were flooded with thousands of comments. Twitter was clogged with videos of Kody, yelling at Dayton, telling him to shut up, shoving him into coerced prayer circles he obviously didn't want to join. TLC issued a public statement condemning Kody's actions. Kody, predictably, responded the only way he knew how, with an insane Instagram livestream. "These kids are weak. You give them everything, and they stab you in the back. The world's poisoned Dayton. He's no longer my son." Robyn was nowhere in sight. Elsewhere, Meri sat outside her bed and breakfast, clutching a binder full of papers. For 4 months, she had been gathering everything in silence: bank statements, text messages, and evidence. She had finally had enough. As the camera crew cued lighting, Meri wiped away tears, leaned forward, and said, "I remained silent for over a decade because I believed loyalty was more important than justice. But I won't be silent anymore." She opened the binder. "This indicates Robyn siphoned money from our shared account. While I was munching popcorn and ramen, she was purchasing new furnishings, and Kody knew. He allowed it to occur." The video went viral in a matter of hours. At home, Kody stormed back and forth across the living room. "They've all deceived me," he seethed. "Christine, Janelle, even Meri, of all individuals, Meri. I provided her with a future. I sustained her life." Robyn, pale and unmoving, sat stiffly on the couch. "They'll come back," Kody insisted, voice sharp. "They always do. They need me. I'm their father figure." In a soft, broken whisper, Robyn said, "They don't." Kody froze. "What?" She looked up at him with empty eyes. "They don't need you, and neither do I." For a moment, he simply stared at her. Then rage twisted across his face. "You ungrateful witch!" he spat. And then suddenly, violently, he strode across the room, seizing her by the shoulders. But Robyn didn't wince. This time she didn't weep. She simply glared at him, numb, weary, and prepared. He released her, pushing his palms into his hair, yelling, "I gave you everything!" "No," Robyn whispered. "You took everything, and you left me with nothing." With a suitcase clutched in her hand, she moved past him and out the door. On the Today Show, Dayton indicated that he was beginning anew and asked that other kids from reality TV be strong enough to speak up and seek assistance. Meri, a podcaster in her own right with Unveiled, reads from her book, details of the emotional abuse and financial deception within the family. Christine and Janelle teamed up to create a nonprofit for people who are fleeing religious domination and narcissistic family systems. In contrast, Robyn dwells alone in a Las Vegas condo, shaking as she looks at a small picture of her children, shattered and resentful. Kody, sans shirt and live streaming from a motel room, bellowed into the air, "I was the leader of this family! I was the prophet!" And there's more. Since leaving polygamy behind, Meri Brown has ventured back into the dating scene, but not without challenges. At 54, Meri, Kody's first wife, had survived 32 difficult years in a faith-based plural marriage. She was not the first one to depart. Christine and Janelle had departed beforehand. Kody had just Robyn, 45, when Sister Wives Season 19 was released. Meri, who was again single, didn't let the divorce get her down. In January 2024, on her 53rd birthday, she brought in a new beau, Amos Andrews, and for a period, she looked radiant and restored. She felt she had at last met someone who picked her after years of disregard. But it didn't work. Although Meri seemed contented, the reality was exposed. Amos was not whom she believed him to be. One of his 4 former wives addressed the U.S. Duman, and disturbing trends, issues of control, fixation on reality TV stars, and a shady background were exposed. Court records only validated it. Amos brought shadows Meri never expected. Amos had been embroiled in a contentious child support war for the last 7 years. Before he ever dated Meri, he was also in a serious relationship, although the circumstances of its demise were unclear. It was in February 2024 that Meri broke the news on Instagram that she and Amos had broken up. She stated that although they had a genuine love for one another, the relationship just wasn't destined to be long-term. Following her separation, Meri went back to being single, concentrating on her expanding business empire, health, and self-healing. She lost weight, started a new life coaching firm, and started rebuilding her identity. With only child Leon Brown, now 29 and residing in another state, Meri was really alone. Yet, she was still hoping love would catch up with her. Meri was honest about wanting a second chance at love, hopefully wanting her own life to reflect Kody Brown's. Christine, Kody's 3rd wife, was the first to leave him, actually. She left after 27 years of life together and 6 kids. She ended things in 2021. Soon after, she began dating David Woolley, and they fell deeply in love. Christine and David were married by 2023, and she has never looked back. Glowing, earthy, and at last, happy. Meri, however, waits patiently for her own happy ending. Janelle Brown, Kody's 2nd wife, is also single after ending her 29-year marriage and raising 5 kids. But unlike Christine and Meri, Janelle has no desire to seek out love again. On the Sibling Revelry podcast, she made her stance clear. "I'm done," she said simply. "I love my single life." Meri and Kody's marriage had been troubled from the beginning. Their marriage became more and more strained over the years, until they finally ceased to live as husband and wife at all. Meri had suffered long years of Kody's emotional abandonment. Even after Kody brutally informed her that he never loved her, she remained, deeply entrenched in her religious faith and the way of polygamy. That moment broke her. Meri had once thought their love was real, but now she realized they hadn't been happy together for years. Even worse, Kody later accused Meri of coercing him into polygamy. Later, on Sister Wives Season 19, Kody confessed that most of his bitter words to Meri and the other former wives had been based on private hurt. He claimed he hadn't intended to hurt them. Though the apology may have provided some solace to his former wives, the emotional scars were already deeply etched. For Meri, the ability to trust a new person won't be a simple thing, not after all this. And Kody wasn't the first to have lied to Meri. Years ago, Meri had gone into what she believed was a cyber relationship with a man, only to realize she'd been catfished. The woman behind the monitor had been lying to her from the very beginning. Years of deceit have created skepticism, and that emotional wall could be the very same thing preventing Meri from feeling true love again. There are, though, more depths to the Sister Wives' heritage. Robyn Brown, Kody and Christine's daughter, recently spoke about her own childhood on camera. In an interview with Teen Vogue, she spoke candidly about what it is like to grow up on reality TV. She admitted that when she was a kid, she had enjoyed filming, but as time went on, the novelty wore off. She also suggested that the show might be wrapping up. "Recently we were thrust into money and fame," replied Gwendolyn. "Somewhere along the line, I quit needing and wanting stuff." She attributed the show to lifting her family out of poverty, remembering, "If a child isn't hungry, life becomes much more possible." In spite of the show being in its 19th season and still building momentum, Gwendolyn revealed that she and her 17 siblings were never monetarily compensated by TLC. "We didn't get paid," she said. "I'm not sure if the network expected our parents to share the money." According to Gwendolyn, Christine made the decision to pay her own children out of her own share, something the others didn't always do. Gwendolyn confessed she's never known how much money she made from appearing on Sister Wives throughout the years. But one thing she's sure of, it wasn't an equitable share. When approached by the media, TLC said in a statement, "All payments are made in line with contractual terms and labor laws." Christine, who has married David Woolley following her divorce from Kody in 2021, said that although there was money saved for college and car expenses for the children, Gwendolyn and her siblings were never paid directly. More on this could be seen in Christine's forthcoming memoir, due out in September this year. As for Gwendolyn, her perspective on reality TV has shifted. "I used to think this was just my normal," she shared. "But now I'm realizing it doesn't have to be." The Sister Wives series originally focused on Kody Brown, his 4 wives, and their 18 children, as they navigated life in a society that often rejected polygamy. But through the years, the foundation has crumbled. In 2024, tragedy struck the family. Kody and Janelle's son, Garrison Brown, took his own life in March at age 25. His death shook the family and the fans, especially as it unfolded before the ever-present glare of reality TV. In the latest episode of Sister Wives, the family spoke candidly about their loss, and Kody shared a poignant confession. As the May 4th episode was broadcast, audiences watched Kody think back over the agonizing estrangement he'd experienced with Garrison in the pre-death years. "I keep hearing, 'Don't get stuck on the what-ifs,'" Kody said at one moment of quiet. "But I can't help it. I will die wondering, what if I had called him? What if I had just talked to him more? What if we had done more together?" He shrugged. "Running through the what-ifs. It makes me feel closer to him somehow." In a tearfully raw interview with Robyn, Kody wondered, "How do I do this? How do I live the rest of my life, with every birthday, every holiday, carrying this?" He shook his head. "All the anger I had, all the stuff with COVID, it all feels so meaningless now." He gazed off into space. "I'm just depressed. Depressed over what might have been." Other family members pondered as well. Janelle remembered texting Garrison during the day before he died. "I knew he'd relapsed," she said softly. "It was a cycle. He'd go on good runs, then relapse." Concerned, she phoned 2 of her sons, Logan and Hunter. "I asked them to call him. I said, 'Will you guys call? Just see if he'll answer you.' They replied, 'We're on it, Mom.' And then came the phone call. "Mom, he's gone," Gabriel whispered. Janelle sat there in shock. "I didn't get it. He wasn't a drinker when he was younger. He hated the way it tasted. But something happened during COVID. Something this year really got to him." In spite of having love, support, and resources, something went horribly wrong. "He's had nights like that before," she explained, "where he'd get drunk, turn off the lights, pass out, but he'd be back in the morning." This time, he didn't. Now the fans are struggling with the bitter reality. Garrison has been dead for more than a year. His death continues to resonate in the Brown family. On his death day, Janelle was the first to put up a tribute. She posted a picture of Garrison snuggling his cat, captioned with a quote from the 1996 movie Dragonheart, a scene where a soul ascends to the stars and turns into a constellation. "To the stars, Bowen," she wrote, a love and longing message thrown into the air.